Well, welcome to our most recent edition of NECC. And again, tonight we go back to the month of November, fall championship season, the women's soccer championship between top-seeded Lesley and second-seeded Elms College. Elms defeated Lesley during the regular season, and the top seed was looking to atone and win another NECC title. Tonight, it's my distinct pleasure, Jacob and Ryan Conference Commissioner, to be joined by the head coach of Lesley, Mr. Paul Vasconcelos, and student athletes, Maddy Deitrick, Brittley Gaan, and Kerrie Larson. Guys, first of all, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it and hope you're safe, and this will be a lot of fun tonight.
Thank you.
Coach, I'll start with you. I touched on earlier, they got you during the regular season. One of your very few losses during your extremely successful tenure there at Lesley. Obviously, that's in the back of your mind, but as you walk us back as we begin to get this game underway, what was the message to your group as you came out of the tunnel and got ready to go?
I don't do a lot of messaging. They're great self-motivators. I would have to say that's definitely one of my deficiencies as a coach, is not getting my players motivated, just expecting them to motivate themselves, which is very different from my counterpart or colleague, Sean at Elms. He's a master motivator, and he can really get his players going. And it's something that I hope to work on in the future. But at the same time, I really think that our senior leadership and our seniors were great, and all of our upperclassmen were really motivated to get after this one.
All right, Brittley, you're the lone senior on the call right now and joining us tonight, so I will turn it over to you as he talks about his upperclassmen. You're between the pipes back there in net for this group. You've obviously, it's a dynasty you've built there at Lesley. You've won 6 of the last 7 NECC titles coming in, going for your 3rd straight championship win. What's the feeling as you guys take the field? Confident? Where are you at?
Oh, of course, there's some nerves going in, but knowing that I had such a great team in front of me, I'm the last person there, I had so much confidence going into this game with my defense, my midfield, forward. You have to have that trust in your team. And I just knew that the energy in the locker room, it's captivating, and you go out there having the same feeling.
Maddy, you're the leader of the defense, obviously. Junior from Texas joining us tonight, Maddy Deitrick. And first few minutes are underway. Obviously, soccer, you guys know each other very well, but sort of sensing one another, feeling one another out as you get this title game underway, I imagine.
Yes, it was really nerve-wracking to begin with. We knew what we had to accomplish as soon as we stepped on the field. So the first few minutes was really just us calming our nerves, getting on the field, and just seeking out what we needed to accomplish, and what we did.
Is there a different vibe? I'll turn this over to Kerrie. Is there a different vibe when you're playing for a title, or is this just such a veteran professional group that you're like, hey, this is another game, we just got to get a victory?
It's definitely something where you want to make sure you're acting as if it's just another game, but taking it seriously as it is a championship. But not psyching yourself out and playing it differently is definitely important.
That's interesting, because you think about that. I think coach probably tell you not to get too high or get too low. You hear a lot of coaches say that, but that's tough in a championship setting, especially for a program like yours. Even though Elms defeated you in the regular season, with the program you've built there, the success that you've had, winning 6 of the last 7 NECC titles coming in. And coach, obviously that's a great point of pride for you and the program you've built there underneath during your time there on campus.
Yeah, my players have been making me look good for a good part of 14 years. I mean, let's be honest. The reason, if I do have any job security, it's because of them, and they've been making me look good for years. So sometimes I think the best thing I do is I learned about 6-7 years ago to just get out of the way and let them do their thing. So there are some games you will not hear me utter a word, and there's some games where I do plenty of talking, but I don't know. I see my girls smiling and laughing, but they've been making it. What it comes down to do is the players win the games, and coaches don't win games. Coaches can actually lose games, and I like to think that I haven't done that too many times, but these 3 in particular, just like the others, I see myself sitting on the end of the bench right now, and I'm not even getting up, and the rest of my team is up, and they have so much energy, and they're all kind of feeling up. It's a wonderful thing to see.
Obviously, we'll get into it as we go forward. You get a good opportunity there that just goes wide, and The first few minutes, you're really dictating the style of play. Obviously, you could see the majority of the play down on the Elms side of the field. Your energy to start, and I'll open this up for probably either Maddy or Kerrie. Your energy to start, I thought, was really good, and especially in the first half, you came out and really established yourself as, hey, you're going to have to play really, really well if you're going to win this afternoon.
Yeah, coming off of a loss from them, we were coming out fiery. We wanted absolutely nothing more than for them to be nervous right off the bat. And I feel like we did that. We may not have put some goals away like we wanted to, but obviously the game's been on our half the whole time, so we've been doing pretty well.
Interesting facility. Obviously, it's very different than the facility you used during the regular season, a much more spread out, spacious facility. Turf surface. Anything different? Did that play in anything? I know you plan it throughout the course of the year, obviously during times and whatnot, but, coach and maybe, for you, Kerrie, anything different, in terms of the field and the dimensions this afternoon?
I think the biggest impact the field had was in the second half with the sun. I think we all remember that. That was tough getting used to, and definitely something that we had to, change our way of attack in order to accommodate to that. We get it done.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch as you get another corner, another set piece, which is going to pay dividends as this half goes on, as Maddy will get the scoring started here in a little while. Coach, anything out of your rhythm? I know we're all creatures of habit. You like to control what we could control in terms of game prep, whatnot. You're up there in Medford, beautiful facility at Hormel Stadium, but a little outside your sort of normal routine.
Yeah, they're all about their scene and where they're experiencing the game and when things look different and well, this isn't, we don't park here and we don't, they're the ones, the creatures of habit. Me is just another field with goals, and the dimensions are a little different, but nothing too different. The surface is the same. But for players, and I remember when I played it, today's different because we're on a different field. And, the sun's shining today, and it was cold the last time we played, and as if it wasn't cold for both teams, it was just cold for you. So kids just think differently.
You see, we've moved forward here to the latter portions of the first half. Maddy, as a defender, typically you push forward on these set opportunities. It actually ends up with the first goal of the game. Maddy, as we get closer to the first goal, obviously you guys, I thought you were the better team in the first half, the better side. Certainly it pays dividends late in the half, but you're pretty comfortable coming forward for these opportunities and playing that sort of offensive-minded defender from the backside.
Yeah, being a defensive mid, I have to look forward often, and then also I've always been strong in the air, and so coach immediately, we have any set piece or anything, he's like, Deitrick, get your head in the box. I get up there, just so I'm there for any opportunity that may arise, and we found that opportunity late in the first half. So, I mean, being up there is it's an option.
Totally understood. Brittley, when you're managing that back line, communication is such a key part of your role. You're not seeing the ball a lot. Is that tough for a netminder, a keeper? Sometimes goalies like to get a touch, get some opportunity, just get into the flow of the game. And because it was so one-sided, especially in the first half, you didn't see the ball too often.
No, I didn't, and it was kind of a little bit of a relief during the first half. But no, I think the communication was a big thing, especially for me. Knowing where the ball is and knowing where my teammates are, I can see it. Once I see my team moving cohesively, I can see I see where the game's going to go. So it was just knowing that was moving perfectly. I didn't want to touch it.
Sometimes it's a good thing not to see it too often in the face of your goal mouth.
Definitely.
Hey, Kerrie, as a sophomore, your second go round, obviously defending champion, getting the opportunity here in this big stage. What's going on in your mind? How do you feel like I'm going to contribute? I'm going to make my mark on this game in terms of where you are on the field.
I just like to make sure everyone's staying calm, and if I get a little bit too worked up, too wrapped up in the game, I like to make sure I bring myself down. Play it at a level that is calm so it doesn't get frantic. And I think that was important coming into sophomore, knowing that the freshmen might be a little bit timid because that's how I was when I was playing as a freshman. So just making sure they feel as though like they know that they can have as big of an impact as anyone on the field.
I love that sentiment. Obviously, just a sophomore, but having that sort of veteran mindset of like, hey, I remember what it was like last year at this time, and I just got to make sure here's a set opportunity, and ball bounces around the net. Coach, you had a lot of these opportunities in the first half. Are you feeling like, gosh, at some point we got to break through, or is there a little frustration setting in? Because we've seen the ball down this side for the better part of this half.
Yeah, it looked like the field was downhill. It wasn't even a flat field for a little while. Brittley was bored back there, and tough to keep the back line engaged. And it's dangerous because a team like Elms, they come down. We could have all the possession, all the attack. They come down one quick counter, and they're up. And they're a tough team to play when they're up a goal. And we found that out when we played at their place. They're a very confident team, and if you give them an opportunity to score, they're going to score. I was a little frustrated probably around this time because I just felt that we were down there, and Kerrie's really good at the corners, and she sent it in, and we're just not connecting. And our forward, everyone was great from the back line and the midfielders. It was the forwards that just weren't getting it done for us. And they're usually the butt of my jokes are the forwards because I just need them to just put balls in the net. Everybody else has to really think things out. I think it was coming up soon, and you started to see we were swinging balls in, and we were becoming a little more dangerous. So I was hoping that we would have scored before the half, and luckily we did. So I think when we got them back at halftime, we went past that 45 minutes and we're up, and that wasn't the case when we were on the road. During the regular season.
It's interesting when you talk about that because you obviously like the style, you like your dominating play, but you see like, gosh, how many chances, how many opportunities are we going to have? At some point we got to capitalize on one of these, and obviously coming up, you're going to see that out of this corner. Maddie's going to
Kerrie
move.
Swings in a really good ball right here.
Yeah, this is a really.
Kerrie, was it you?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it's Kerrie.
We'll just let this breathe a little bit.
Deitrick gets her head on the ball. Look at her smile. Look at her.
Maddie just runs forward.
It's funny because I don't remember it. I blacked out. It was like a
blackout.
It was so quick. Yeah, it was. I just knew. I was like, we have probably like 5 minutes left in the half. We gotta finish something. And I made a little promise to myself. It was like, I'm gonna get whatever I can on this ball. And I didn't even realize, I hadn't watched this until about a month ago, that I knocked the girl down that I jumped over. And I had no idea I even did that. And they were making a scene about it, and I still had no idea. It was exciting.
It did sort of set the tone a little bit as we get underway here in the second half. Obviously, you guys were the 1-0 lead on Maddie's header there. Maddie, what I was impressed with that out of the set piece, obviously a beautiful ball by Kerrie, but you don't often see headers execute that well from a ball so low. And you really sort of ran through it. That's not an easy thing to do. You'll often see players get their knee or even a shoulder or something like that. But you just got low and just buried. I think that sort of caught their keeper by surprise.
I like those driven balls better than the ones that are high because all you have to do is get something on it and it's in the net. The high ones you have to direct somewhere. So that's actually an ideal ball by Kerrie. It was perfect.
I love that. Kerrie, well done by you. Coach doesn't even know that was you, and your teammates are saying that was awesome. That's terrific. All right, Coach, halftime, obviously you 1-0. You talked about it a moment ago. You've got some momentum. You take that lead into the break. Obviously, you really dominated play during the first 45 minutes. If you recall, you said you're not a big message guy, but I imagine you went in the locker room and went into the break and said, hey, we played pretty well there. A little bit more of that for the second half, and I like our chances today.
Yeah, I mean, when things are going well, I just kind of reinforce it and tell them, hey, keep doing what you're doing. And sure enough, I was worried about them coming out on fire in the second half, but we got the first 2 minutes. You could see that it was going to be the same thing. We're opening up the field here, and our backs are trying to come up in the field and get involved in the attack, which is something that shows that the team has confidence. We're knocking the ball. We're playing our style. We're getting more and more comfortable, and it was great. I just felt, which is a dumb thing to say, but I felt we scored the second goal too early. I wish we would have pushed it back a little. But, it's easy to say that now rather than the day of.
And certainly, I mean, anybody that watched this game live or was with us up there at Hormel Stadium, I mean, it was really a massive turn of events because the way you guys played over the first 55 minutes, it really looked like it was going to be a one-sided affair. We'll talk more about it certainly as we go forward here, but it was more of the same to start the second half. Claire Hounsell's going to get a goal pretty shortly here. And you touched on it, Coach. 2-0 advantage, obviously championship. You're feeling good. You're really dominating play. Brittley, for you, when you have this 1-0 advantage, you're feeling good. Obviously, you're on the right side of the scoreboard. But now you know there's a little bit more importance with anything you see down in your end.
Oh, yeah. It's like it's kind of like, it's hard to explain. It's like when you have that much freedom and so much like relaxedness in the back with the ball not coming to you, you have this sense of like comfortableness. And I think that's what kind of happened to us is we felt too comfortable. And while we had this like energy with us, it was just like there was little spots that were just that they capitalized on.
Is it at times, and you know, I'll put this to Kerrie and maybe Maddy. Is there times when you're dominating plays so much, even though it's just 1-0, you just feel like, you know, guys, we're just playing great right now, and I don't want to say you're not worried because obviously you respect everybody. Certainly a team that beat you during the regular season, playing for a championship, everything you know it's at stake. But because you dominated play, I mean, folks that were with us, it was really one-sided for the first, you know, hour of the match. As a student athlete, as you guys are out there, you're just saying, listen, guys, we just keep playing. We're better than this team today.
I feel like in the back of my mind, like the fact that momentum can flip at any second is what really, like, we don't want our guard to be let down. We don't want to start thinking like that because if we play too relaxed, that's when we can make that one mistake that'll cost us a game. And so letting our guard down really is just not what we want to let happen.
Yeah, it's good to be comfortable, but it's not good to be complacent. So just making sure that you're comfortable where you are, but like Kerrie said, the flip of a switch, they can have momentum and it can be scary. So
That's a good term. I mean, it's good to be comfortable and not complacent. I like that, Coach. I say, you know, that's a good mindset. I don't know if she got that from you, but that's a good statement. It's a good grouping, and in terms of, you know, where you're at on the field, because we talked about it earlier. You know, for playing in a championship, you don't want to start looking at the clock too early. You don't want to start looking at those things because you know that just one bad sequence or, you know, one turnover, you know, one run out opportunity, and this game's going to be deadlocked to 1 apiece.
Yeah, they're wonderful to coach at this age, but it's one of those things they're already thinking about, you know, where's the party going to be tonight, and you know, hey, who's taking the trophy home with them tonight, and there's still 40 minutes on the clock, and my job is to, hey, you still got 40 minutes, and there's obviously a team that's quality and has already beaten us a couple weeks earlier. But, you know, with young people in general, they when they're confident, they're brimming with confidence. But I can't take any credit for how they played for the first hour. They're just wonderful at what they do. They're just really, when they play their system, and it is their system, they are wonderful to watch. I can almost watch it like a fan.
That's a remarkable comment, and I appreciate your honesty and your transparency there. What does that come from? I mean, you've built a program there. Obviously, we know the success you've instilled and the confidence in these student athletes. But what does that mean for you to say, really, I'm just sort of a bystander. I'm just watching them and cheering them on?
A lot of our heavy lifting for the staff is in the off season as far as recruiting the right player for the right fit for our system. We will take credit for the recruiting aspect and bringing in the right pieces. They play at great clubs or they just play the style. They play with high soccer IQ, and they would be good fits. And we debate a lot. You know, me and my assistants, I'll say I like a kid, and this is, nope, I like this kid better. And sure enough, you know, that time they were right. And there's a lot of people that first day of preseason, they come in and the coaches have come to me and say, really, her? And I say, give it some time. And they want to pass the judgment off in a day, but they are so used to training a certain way and playing within a system. And I think if the goal comes up here.
Yeah, it's shortly.
I'll use Claire as an example. Claire didn't play at a big club. I think this is the goal, to be honest. Claire did not play at a big club, and I'm going to give Kerrie some more credit, because now it's Kerrie. I think Kerrie's involved. Are you the throw-in for Claire? Did you throw in for Claire?
No.
Okay. Well, thanks for being so excited about it.
That's choice now, Paul.
It's just a kid like Claire she's just amazing player, and she didn't play at a big club, and she wasn't she probably wasn't even thinking of it. You'd have to ask her, but she probably wasn't even thinking about playing college soccer, and then all of a sudden she's getting a big goal in a big game, and it's just wonderful to see that we're able to get all these little pieces of the puzzle and get them to play together.
Coach, let me ask you, and obviously I'm thrilled that we have Brittley on, and Maddy certainly. Brittley originally from the state of Washington, Maddy down there in the state of Texas. The national recruiting effort, how did that come to be? It's very different than many of the programs we see at the Division III level. It's a much more traditionally, it's a much more regional type look on many of these rosters.
We got a lot of no's for the first 4 or 5 years. I remember my wife telling me the 5th year I went out to recruit in California, she said, if you don't get someone this year, you're not going back. My kids were young, and luckily I got my first kid from San Diego, and it started like a domino effect. If they look at a roster and they say, oh, I know I'm from Austin, Texas, but they got a player from Dallas, and they got a player from San Antonio, and they got a player, you're more likely to go there. And, kids like, Maddy and Brittley, I'll be very honest, I don't deserve half of our players. But for some reason, we trick them enough to make them come play for us. And by the time they find out what it really is, it's too late and they can't get out.
That's funny. Brittley and Maddy, I want to ask you guys, Brittley originally from the great state of Washington, what made you decide to come cross country, come play for Coach and attend Lesley? What was the decision there?
Actually, it was funny. His first contact with to me was my 15th birthday, actually. So it was just like, for me, it was kind of like a really special moment. It was location for me, but also just the going out for recruiting and like seeing the team and the girls and how they really bonded with one another. It was some teams, like just the friendships and that's what meant most to me, and seeing how that was with everyone. And I'm sure you guys, like Maddy, Kerrie, you guys can agree. It's just that bond that really is hard to not, like, it's hard to explain. Yeah.
Maddy, if you don't mind continuing on with that point, being from Texas, and the bond is, noticeable just from the outside. From being there for a handful of games, obviously the postseason. It's a special thing you have going there.
Yeah, the bond is really cool. On our recruit trip, it was, immediately we knew they were a close group, and that no matter where you were from or what you looked like or how you acted, you were going to be included. And for me, it was actually, Coach saw me in Florida, his favorite place ever. I was a sophomore in high school, I think. And then I actually wasn't, I told him, I was like, I wanted to be in nursing school. I was like, Lesley doesn't have nursing. I had a soccer recruit page, and I didn't even tell him, but I changed my major, and he emailed me again like the next day after I changed it on there and said, so you changed your major, come to Lesley. And so he kind of followed me around for a little bit, and I always wanted to go out of state. So Lesley was a really cool location, and I liked the team, and so it's a good fit.
Kerrie, you're the lone outlier here. You guys, meanwhile, we should mention Claire's gotten that second goal. You lead 2-0. And Coach, before we started tonight, you said it's the worst lead. And people say it's the worst lead in hockey. It's definitely the worst lead in soccer. You let your guard down a little bit.
Hands down.
It's amplified by the way that you've just dominated play up to this point. Kerrie, you're the lone sort of, we'll call it local product. You're from Rhode Island, not that far away from where Lesley's located. They're in the heart of Massachusetts. You see Elms get one on a ricochet there, sort of volleyed around the net. Kerrie, your decision to stay relatively close, but get away a little bit. It's a culture. It's a team that spans the country. Walk us through it from your side of that, of being. I take a little pride. Hey, I'm a local kid, and I want to represent the state and where I'm from as well.
Yeah, Stevie had contact with me from early on because of my athletic director at my high school. And there wasn't really an interest at first until I actually was on the campus, and then I loved it and committed, and then met the girls, and I had the same initial reaction that Brittley and Deitrick had about, it's just the culture, the environment. It's something magical when you first step on that campus. You can really feel just like how much everyone cares for each other.
All right, Coach, it's 2-1 now. It's going to get worse here momentarily. What was the difference for them? You talk about letting your guard down. A little sloppy, obviously not controlling the possession as well. And at the same token, I think Elms recognized what was at stake and played with a sense of urgency.
They did. And instead of us talking about what we were doing wrong, what I think I should do, I should just give credit to them about being down 2-0 with 30 minutes left or whatever it was, and coming back and tying this up. And on top of, being down 2-0 and to show that type of attitude to come back and claw their way back in, it really took the wind out of our sails. And, I think by when they tied it up, I'm still seeing myself sitting down on the bench, but I think when they tied it up, I think I stood up for the rest of the time. And I just felt that the girls needed to know that everything was fine, still a tie game, and I felt we were the better team. And, but what was happening here is, and you could tell, you can hear a lot of whistles and a lot of just physical play, totally clean, just physical play. There's a difference between, playing dirty. It was all physical play and teams, both sides going at it. And I just think it doesn't play to our advantage. The ideal Lesley game is a game that I hear a kickoff whistle and a halftime whistle, and the ball never goes out of bounds and it's just free flowing. And right now you can tell just by watching the game, this game is not free flowing. It's full of free kicks and fouls and whistles and long kicks into the box. And when that happens to Lesley, it's never a good thing.
Yeah, it definitely got chippier as the game went on, and I give you credit because you talked about just a good physical game. It was that and then some. For the student athletes, Maddy, I guess I'll defer to you on this. You see them get some energy. You see them get that first goal. All right, here they come. And people can say momentum's not real. I totally disagree. You can sense it. You can feel things happening. What's your mindset out there as a leader in the back?
We had to stay calm. We knew we could beat them. Obviously, the first 90 minutes showed that. They are a scrappy team. They're mean. They're hard to play against. And they're hard to play against, so we knew we had to stay calm, play our game. Even with that sun, you can't really see right now, but the sun was, you looked at it and all you could see was silhouette. So we said we just got to do what we know what to do. We just had to remain composed. There's not much more we could do.
They just got one by you, Brittley. I don't want to harp on it, obviously, but let's talk about the amount of congestion there was in the box. I mean, there was a lot of green jerseys down that way, and it just seemed like, at the end of the day, they just got numbers in there, just sort of stacked it and packed it.
Oh yeah, I mean, like Deitrick and Kerrie mentioned it. The sun is a big factor in that, and having that set piece come in, and all you see is just those dark jerseys. There kind of is a panic when it comes there, and it was a lot coming in.
All right, we've obviously moved here to PKs. The game was deadlocked after regulation, deadlocked after our overtime sessions. Coach, didn't play one of these during the regular season. Obviously, these games are not determined. You end a game in a tie. You get one there early, and for a group that you had that 2-0 lead, you get that break there. How are you feeling at this juncture going into this part of the game?
Well, I wasn't watching what was going on. I had my back turned, so if you were to pan the camera, you would just see Lesley Soccer on the back of my jacket. So I only watched the PKs a couple months after the game, but our captains got in the circle and they said, we got the best goalie in the conference. We know that everyone's going to hit their PKs. But it's up to the soccer gods, and, luckily they shined on us again. But this isn't Brittley's first rodeo at PKs 2 years ago. I did what people think was one of my craziest coaching calls, which was she didn't play at all in the game, and I threw in for PKs, and she stopped the PK because I remember when we were recruiting her, that she said she loved PKs. Now, a goalie that loves PKs, you got to put in the net. So, you know, and even the ones she does, if you see the ones that she doesn't save, she was guessing to see, you'll see her footwork. She's actually working on the player that's taking the shot. That's how smart Brittley is, and that's how good she is at this.
Brittley, where does that come from?
I mean, it's kind of, I actually don't know. I think it's just a more sense of like knowing, like trying to put your mind into the actual like shooter, seeing where their eyes are going, where their hips, their feet are going. It's kind of an instinct, but for me personally, I know people try to go off like how they stand. For me, I look at like just the way they approach the ball. So it's that quick, it's like almost like a guess. It's just a quick movement for me.
Maddy, is this you coming up here?
It is.
All right, so we'll just let you walk us through this one. Obviously, you can see the score there in the lower third of the screen. You converted your first. They missed their first opportunity. So.
Yes. Walking up to it with them missing the first one, we all just look at each other, and we're nervous, we're shaking, but we just need to put it in the net. Don't do anything extravagant, just put it in the net, and we've been doing that for 10 years now. So just walk up, have composure, and put it in the net.
Is that the hardest thing to do in that situation? Because obviously you're expected to capitalize, you're expected to score, but sometimes you try to do a little too much.
Easily, yes. Especially trying to hit those top corners, it's easy to blast it over. So if you have confidence in being able to hit those, go for it. But otherwise, stay calm.
We could see Brittley guessing wrong there. And Brittley, I love watching you on the screen and then watching you your reactions in real time. You're just so disappointed and so frustrating. And if you get one stop in a PK sequence, that's a great thing. And your mindset is like, man, I'm ticked off that any got by me. I just love that mindset.
Oh, that's a goalie's mindset. It's like you always like, even though there's one, you're like, oh, I could have saved all four of them.
This is great. Obviously, you know, we've rolled along here. You can see the score, and as you go forward here, you know, you don't want to look around.
Fine. If she hit it or if she didn't hit it, Kate Scott would have been fine. The same thing. You wouldn't have seen a difference at the end of the game.
She was good this run for you. I'll tell you that. She really played well for you, I thought, these two games, and she was very confident there and gave you a lot of life. And now, you know, you're starting to inch closer to the finish line. And Brittley, wait, go ahead, Coach. Sorry.
I had to convince her to come back to play. She was thinking about, you know, just not coming back to play her senior year. She was going through some health issues, and I begged her and I begged her and I begged her, and that was the reason right there.
Hey, Brittley, as we look at this, is there an inner scoreboard in your mind of where you're at during these things?
No, I went into this going in like, you gotta save one, just one. And for this game specifically, I completely forgot that they missed. And all I kept thinking was just one. All you gotta do is just one.
Now you see we're getting closer here. This is the fourth round. Elms missing their first. Lesley's obviously cashed in on all three of theirs. Coach, as you watch this, or maybe you don't watch this, as you told us earlier, it's obviously out of your hands. Much of soccer is not a coach's game. It's a player's game in many ways. That's a really well-struck ball there in the corner.
Great body language right after.
Is it just the vibe? Is it just the mindset? You know, as you're hearing and seeing the celebration from your group on the bench, and you're saying, all right, because I know you know what the score is up there when it comes to PKs.
I can tell by the cheering and what the score is, and you know, they said, I heard my goalkeeper coach say, if she stops this, we win. If she stops this, we win. And then a couple of the girls said, shut up, and it was just this back and forth, and you know, Britt did her thing, and she gave us and if she said she didn't know, she knew, because you can tell by the way she reacts right here. She knew she just went up for us, because she wasn't going back in line for another shot.
Brittley with the big save, and that caps it off. It was funny, there was a long delay there, and there was like an almost like, wait, I think that's it, right? They've already got four. That was their last opportunity, and now the celebration can begin. Kerrie, I'll start with you as we wrap this up. You see the dog paw, you see the celebration. What does this feel like for a student athlete? It's such a special moment, the culmination of so much hard work, and to end it in this manner has got to be special.
Yeah, you work all season for this moment, and just this feeling of just like we did it. Like this is what we worked for. This is what we work all summer. We work all preseason. We work all season to get to this point, and it's really just an amazing feeling just being able to celebrate with all your friends and teammates.
Brittley, you were the star, obviously, of the of the PKs, getting 2 stops, one a miss, and that huge save late. Same question for you. What's the mindset? What's the feeling at this juncture?
Relief. No, it's like people say it's like I was the savior. No, I give credit to the entire team. They're the ones who fought to the very end, and I just did a check mark off of it. I wanted to celebrate with my team, and it's just this. We've worked so hard to get to that moment, and it's just this knowing that all of our hard work paid off.
All right, Maddy, final say from the student athletes, and then Coach, I'll have you wrap us up here. Tournament MVP to be announced shortly hereafter, obviously. The celebration, the hugs, it's such a special moment for any group to have that championship and to know all that hard work has paid off. It's a long season. It's a season that starts in, the hottest days of summer, and you go forward to a freezing afternoon up there. What's your feeling as you celebrate and take this all in?
Like Britt said, it was relief. We were happy, but it was relief. We had such a tough season with injuries, and we played with 2 subs most of it. So being on the field at that moment, it was just we made it through. We did what we came to do. No matter what we faced, we did it. And we only did what we could individually.
Coach, absolutely true, and I appreciate your perspective on that, Maddy. Coach, from your side, what you've built, you talk about the recruiting aspect, the hours. For you, it's very different experience, but at the same time, it's just as rewarding, although you're not running up and down the field, scoring goals, getting stops, anything like that. But to watch this from afar, I remember looking over at you and smiling, and you were just sort of taking it in like a proud parent saying, that's my group. That's why I do this. And those long hours, you have a young family, you have a wife at home. This is not a lucrative industry in our space. These are the reasons, these are the moments why you spend those hours and why you do what you do.
It is. I now have evolved into just the proud dad type of situation where I don't jump in the piles, and I really want to. Maybe someday I'll start running into piles, but I don't see it. I just like looking from far and just seeing how happy. At the end of the day, I just like seeing my girls happy. And if this is what makes them happy, then I'm happy. When they're sad, I'm sad. I just want to. The thing as a recruiting coach is you recruit them, and yes, soccer's important, but and it does play a part in it. But if at the end of the 4 years they can say that they had a really great college experience, and I think that's what athletics offers students. Is just it's a whole other level of a college experience. I know people that had fun in college, and then I know people who played sports in college, and there's a total different level, and it's days like this, and even the bad days, because a week later we're in the middle of Pennsylvania and we lost 5-0 to the national champion, and it's just funny how a week can change everything, but at the same time, nobody is more proud of his players than I am.
Coach, that's really well said in terms of encapsulating the entire student athlete experience, and how special it is, how unique it is. And it's a bond that this group will always share, regardless of class year, regardless of anything. Championship teams only live on in 1 year, and that's the opportunity, and that's what this group took advantage of. Guys, I can't thank you enough for your time tonight. Congratulations once again. Be safe, and thank you. And obviously, I know whatever this fall, whatever this spring looks like, we're going to hope to present an opportunity for you to defend your title, make it another one, and thank you for your time this evening.
No, thank you this is great for all of the student athletes in general. All the work you and your office do for the student athletes of the conference. I really appreciate it.
Be well, be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Thank you.